I'd like to know from both of you what's one thing that we will absolutely know about this team by Halloween. Sean, I'll let you go first since Sherrell just heard the question for the first time. I'll let him noodle it around a little bit, but fire away, Mr. Moran.
One thing we'll absolutely know. Well, first, I'm looking forward to the BYU game. I've got my flight booked, and we'll be there in person to
What a
see to see.
flex. What a flex, Sherrell. You hear
Well,
this guy?
I don't know if going to a
I'll be
preseason game
there.
is a flex, Joey, but
I'll be there because I'm Sean. I have flight miles. Anyway, go ahead.
uh, anyway, I think once you see, especially the BYU game, I think seeing those games, you'll be able to quickly understand: is this a tournament team that we will be talking about all year that is going to be on the bubble, or is it, is this team, does this have a legit shot at being, I'd say a 1 through 5 seed? Now you can go back 2 years ago, you probably weren't going to know, the 2023 team was going to be a 1 seed. You probably didn't know that until ACC season started, but I think you could tell between Ingram and Ryan and how well they fit together. So I do think, once again, there's still, from when the season starts, I think the good thing is that there is a lot of depth and there's a lot of different skill sets that you can mix together. The bad thing is you have a lot of different skill sets that you almost have to figure out which one is working in each game. But I do think you'll be able to see from a talent perspective, because we've talked so much. Seth Trimble needs to do A, B, and C to get to what we think, is his max, his potential. Or Jonathan Powell has to be able to shoot a little, create a little bit more off the dribble or attack the basket. So I think you will be able to see, are some of these things feasible, which they're not going to be in every player, but I think you will be able to start to see the player's strengths and what maybe they've worked on this summer, or maybe what we've seen in the past and how that will play in. So I do think we'll be able to get a relative judge of what type of team is this going to be, and are they, once again, I think the collective whole for this team is going to be a lot better than the individual parts. And I think you can start to see that just from the body language and how they're reacting, how crisp is the ball moving, knowing that there's still a lot of improvement needed and that will come. But I think you will be able to see at a high or macro level, how can this team, what is the true ceiling for this team?
Sherrell, same thing. And again, I want to just hearing Sean talk about that he's going to be at the BYU game and kind of what these exhibitions may or may not do. I just remember a lot of folks being way high on the squad after the Memphis game last year, before things kind of came crashing down to earth. Not that that's necessarily here nor there, just that's something that jumped out at me when I'm thinking about these opening exhibitions being televised. Sherrell, same question, man.
Jalen Washington coming around to curl for a
Jalen
three-point.
The fact that they ran a curl for Jalen Washington in the corner in that scrimmage, and I don't think we ever saw it again. Maybe we did and he missed it, but I just remember that, seeing that play called in a glorified scrimmage last season. I immediately perked up and think, oh, maybe there is something here. And then, of course, the season happened and things did what they did. Trell, same question, man. Give me your answer.
It's gonna be a boring one, Joey. I'm sorry, but I don't really know if we're gonna learn anything from it. Like, we can learn how they compete. We can learn, if they play hard, if that's something that's innate in them. But after that, it's hard for me to assign much to a preseason game, and I still am very much like team exhibitions shouldn't be televised. I'd love it if we went back to secret scrimmages. I understand it's great for fans to be able to see, but like I just feel like they create a false sense of whatever your preconceived notion of what the season is going to be. The exhibition game will undoubtedly reinforce whatever that position is, even if what you saw doesn't reinforce that position, if that makes any sense. So that
Watching Carolina football right now, yes, it absolutely proves preconceived notions. Yes.
and so that for me, that's just not something I'm interested in. I get how you can look at stuff from the macro level. Like for instance, last year, I didn't want to believe it at the time, but it was pretty clear that K Tyson was going to have issues getting a shot off against high level athletes. You knew that from probably the first play of the Memphis game on. It was clear. So there are some things like that, I guess, that you can kind of glean. But overall, because this team is so new and because the pieces are so new and because if they will have played organized basketball together for a couple of months, I don't want to read anything into the exhibition game, for just speaking for myself, from micro or macro, win or lose, win by 20, lose by 20. It's just it's a game they're going to take serious, but I don't think it's going to be what the team is going to look like in February. And so for me, it's just more like follow the journey a little bit than kind of use the exhibition game as a jumping off point because things could be very different. As you said, Joey, they ran stuff in the exhibition game we didn't see the majority of the year. So I don't know. I'm just not in the nothing matters group, but I don't think you can glean too much from it. And I would urge other people to do the same.
So, because you said it, that means absolutely nobody will get their head out over their skis and react improperly, right? Since you said that, nobody's going to do that. That's what I'm assuming because our audience is really smart and they're really logical. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that these folks that listen to this show, none of them are going to do that. Right, folks?
They are smart, and it's natural.
I'm not pandering. I'm dead serious. I want our people to be the smartest show out there.
It is natural to watch a game and be like, "Oh, I don't know about this," but I personally just like to have a lot of data points before I form a conclusion, and I think just treat it as okay. This is a practice that they're playing very hard in against a different team. If you treat it that way, I don't think you can come out of it, kind of upset or too happy. You're just like, okay, it was a practice against a good team. It'll help making them better, move forward. But yeah, I'm team ban exhibitions from being televised moving forward. I need to create a hashtag.
State media basketball. Go ahead, Sean.
I would say, yeah, depending on what the score, like the final scores are, and even going back to the Memphis game last year of what that score was, I think is less indicative. Sure, I think to your point about Cade Tyson, right? That I think you saw it you saw it if you watched film, but I think the warning signs went off against athletic talent. But on the flip side, you had Seth Trimble explode, and then, hey, can he do this during the year? So I think it is almost trying to remove the outliers, but at the same time, how is Caleb Wilson moving? Does he look like a top 10 athlete in this setting with other top guys that are older from a strength and physicality perspective? Or for Vasar, now that he is expected to be a main focus offensively, how is he handling that? So for me, it's just, I'd say from a body perspective and a movement perspective of, hey, what we've been seeing individually on all their old teams, how is that coming to play? So once again, if they're beating BYU by 10 or losing by 10, I think is less indicative of that macro perspective. But I do think, from a shooting perspective, a ball movement, and just, can these guys play at a high level, or is this going to be a struggle to figure out how everybody's going to adapt to each other? I think at least should give us glimpses. And you only have to go back to the first game of the season last year against Elon, where I think you said, oh man, this could be rough based on some of these weaknesses that a lot had been maybe talked about or hypothesized, but until you saw it or you saw Elon cut it in that first half, and that was a real game, but it was only maybe a week after the Memphis game of sorts. So I think there are just, forget the score, but look at what's going on offensively and defensively.
That's a fair point, to be able to look at those small things and kind of not determine, but just see what might be a warning sign and what might not be.
Just trying to a directional tool, I guess you can say.
Yeah, that's fair.